The little girl at table 3 handed me a note that said, "Mommy isn't mommy." I looked at the girl and she couldn't have been older than 5. The woman across from her snatched the paper out of my hand so fast it cut my finger. "She's being silly," the woman said. "She has a big imagination." The girl didn't look like she was being silly. She was sitting perfectly still with her hands folded in her lap like someone had trained her to disappear. Her eyes were locked on mine and I could see her bottom lip shaking. "Can I get you anything else?" The woman smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Just the check. We're in a hurry." I nodded and walked away, but I watched them from behind the counter. Every time the woman moved, the girl flinched. When the woman pulled out her phone, the girl looked at me and slowly shook her head back and forth. It was tiny. The woman didn't notice, but I did. I grabbed a water pitcher and went back to their table. "Let me top you off." I tipped the pitcher right into the woman's lap and she jumped up screaming, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Water went everywhere, and I grabbed napkins and made a show of helping while I leaned down to the girl. "Sweetie, what did you mean by mommy isn't mommy?" The girl opened her mouth to speak, but the woman's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. "She's autistic, so she doesn't talk. Back off. I just want to hear from her." "I just told you she's nonverbal. What part of that don't you understand?" The woman yanked the girl out of the booth by her arm, and the girl still didn't make a sound. She just went limp, like she'd learned that fighting made things worse. I stepped in front of the door. "You're not leaving." The woman laughed in my face. "Excuse me?" "I said you're not leaving with that little girl. That's my daughter. Then you won't mind waiting for the police." The woman stepped closer until I could smell her perfume. "Don't be stupid. I have her birth certificate on my phone. When the cops get here, you're going to jail for assault and I'm going to sue this restaurant until it doesn't exist anymore." My hands were shaking, but I didn't move. "I'm not letting you leave." "Yes, you are." She grabbed a fistful of my hair and slammed my head into the glass door. It cracked but didn't break. She pulled back and did it again, and this time I went straight through. I hit the sidewalk in a pile of glass and I couldn't see straight, but I could hear the girl's shoes scraping as the woman dragged her toward the parking lot. I tried to get up, but my arms collapsed. I watched the woman shove the girl into a white sedan. Then I heard sirens. Someone had called 911. 2 officers jumped out and the woman transformed into a sobbing mess. "I'm so glad you're here. That waitress attacked me and tried to take my daughter." She held up her phone with documents on the screen. "Here's her birth certificate. She's autistic and nonverbal, and that woman tried to kidnap her." The officers looked at me bleeding on the concrete surrounded by broken glass. One of them started toward me with handcuffs out. "Ma'am, stay on the ground." "She's lying. The girl wrote me a note asking for help. Please just ask her." "Ma'am, the child is nonverbal." "She's not. Ask her." The officer grabbed my wrist and I thought it was over. Then his radio crackled. "All units, positive ID on the Amber Alert. Witness recognized the child from social media. White sedan with paper plates, female suspect with a 5-year-old girl." The officer let go of my wrist. He turned and looked at the woman standing next to her white sedan with paper plates. The color drained from her face and she bolted, but she only made it 3 steps before the other officer tackled her so hard her face bounced off the asphalt. That's when a minivan came flying into the parking lot. The cops had called the mother the second the witness identified her daughter. A woman threw herself out of the van screaming, "Grace!" The little girl did something the kidnapper swore she couldn't do. She screamed back, "Mommy!" They put the kidnapper in the back of the squad car, and I watched from the sidewalk as she thrashed and screamed that she'd kill every single one of us. The officer slammed the door in her face. She ended up getting 5 years in prison.